I love to see the towns passing by and to ride these rails neath God's blue sky. Let me travel this land from the mountains to the sea, 'cause that's the life I believe He meant for me. And when I'm gone and at my grave you stand, say God called home your rambling man.
Welcome to Ramblin' Man Podcast, episode number 186. This one is part 1 of 2 of my interview with Megan Lingerfelt, talking about murals and art. Megan's been around for a bit, creating murals, which you'll hear about on the episode, and we had met a couple times before, but it was really good to have her on, hence us recording for almost 4 hours. If you'd like to learn more about her work, you can go to meganlingerfelt.com, MEGANLINGERFELT. You can also follow her on Instagram at Megan Lingerfelt, spelled the same way. I appreciate Megan for coming on and rambling along. Sponsor this week is Feral Giant. Feral Giant is a graphic design, illustration, and social media consultation company based here in Knoxville, Tennessee. So they do work for clients big and small all over the country, all over the globe, in fact. But they also do photography, videography, video editing, and audio editing, website design, SEO, writing, content development. Hell, they'll babysit your kids if it nets them money. So make sure you give them a follow on social media on either Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, or LinkedIn at Feral Giant. And be sure to give them an email today and hire them for your next project. Without much further ado, here's the episode. Off mic, you said sports ball is okay.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have, now that it's the college football playoffs, are any of your teams in the playoffs?
Oh, football. Of all the sports balls.
Okay, so I'm going to scratch NFL off that list.
No, so sports ball is on in my house often. I don't really have like a huge, personal connection to anything. Okay. But my husband went to the University of Washington, so I'm always rooting for the Huskies to do good, do their thing. Now that I'm in Tennessee, go Vols.
You need to follow that with, I guess.
I guess.
Yeah. All right, so
Big Orange.
Since you looked at the pop culture stuff, do you know? Oh God, I need to fact check this. Do you know what famous actor was a walk-on receiver? This is going to be just a look in your eyes.
Definitely not. Oh, God. Trivia and sports ball? Yee.
Okay, yeah, I'm right.
Okay.
Do you know who Joel McHale is from Community?
I know the show Community.
So the
the lead in Community.
So he was a walk-on wide receiver at the University of Washington.
Really?
Yeah. He's 6'4", tight end, not wide receiver. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I think it was something like, if I remember the story, there's all kinds of videos on this. Okay, never mind where he's talking about. But I think it's something crazy like he didn't really play in high school and then he just walked on and was a tight end for the Huskies.
Did he do good?
Yeah, he did pretty good.
Okay, my husband's going to love this.
All this could be wrong.
Well, if you got Google telling you, it's probably right.
So when you get home, you're like, what? Working actor, not famous actor, working actor.
I could even just say which actor from Community, and he would be like, I don't know, Chevy Chase?
My advice to you would be don't say tight end. Just say played football.
Okay.
Because it could be...
I won't remember tight end anyway.
Childish Gambino. It could be Donald Glover.
Yeah.
Like, he's pretty fit, so it could be him.
Yeah, that would obviously,
It'd be hilarious if you went, it's Dean Pelton.
Yes.
That
clearly.
That little guy, he was a
It's the most unexpected.
Center. He was an offensive lineman.
Yeah.
For the Huskies. Little known fact. Yeah.
Well, so college football, whatever. I'm super not into sports. If we want to talk about like what I see as sports, we can get into that. But that could be like, what's your like embarrassing personal note question? But before we get to that, before we came to Knoxville, we lived in Seattle.
Okay.
And before that, we were in Asheville. Grew up in Asheville, and so Russell Wilson used to play AA baseball.
Really?
For the Asheville Tourists.
Really?
I don't know how.
You're coming with your own factoids. Look at this.
Yeah. And so then he was, for the
Yeah.
Seahawks. And so now we're not like totally glued to any team, but it's like, what's Russell Wilson doing these days?
He's a weird dude.
He's a weird dude. And just a couple of days ago, my dad was telling me about his contract moving from Denver
Yes.
to Philly. And that was pretty interesting how he's like, Philly got like such a good deal and Denver's like bleeding out, and now he's doing so much better there than he was in Denver. So I'm rooting for him, whatever team he's on, just because. Steelers? Pittsburgh. Okay.
I was going to say,
Pennsylvania.
it's not Philly because that's
the Eagles. My bad.
yeah, their quarterback is from Alabama.
Okay.
So that's the
Steelers.
only reason that,
He's in,
Steelers.
yeah.
I was like, I think he's in the Steelers. Yeah.
Well, it's different end of the same state.
Here, I'll give you another factoid. So the Steelers head coach, Mike Tomlin, has never had a losing season in all the years he's been coach there.
That's impressive.
I think he's only, if I remember correctly, I'm not going to look this up. I'm going to go back to bar rules and not
Don't
look
even
stuff
bother.
up. I think he's only won one Super Bowl. And I think they haven't made the playoffs too often, but he has a winning record every year, and they love him in Pittsburgh. He is funny. Like, he is a great guy to watch because he, there was one time he was like going through the tunnel going out there, and somebody was trying to ask him a question, and he just looked and went, nope, not today, and just kept walking. Like, he's the best no nonsense. And then he was on the sideline, and he was like chewing on gum or something and looking very intently at something, then looked over and saw a camera looking at me and just did this. He went,
Big thumbs up.
theater of the mind, you'll have to figure out what I just did. But it was so funny. Like,
Yeah.
But yeah, they love him there.
Yeah.
He's awesome. He's a great, looking up his interviews would probably bring you joy.
I get more out of like the personalities of athletes than anything else. Like, so like I'm into Formula One. And like watching like that Netflix series where it's like deep diving into each person and like, the drivers and the engineers and the heads of each team. It's just like, I love that kind of stuff. And then you go and you watch the race and it's like, yeah, that's good. All right. I could watch the 30-minute version of that and be just as happy. But like, really, I just want to kind of know like the dynamics behind stuff.
Yeah.
That's way more entertaining for
There's
me.
part of me would love to go, but the other part of me knows I'm going to be standing there forever and go, vroom,
Yeah.
and it's like, all right.
No.
You want to go get a beer?
Yeah.
Like, we got time before they come.
And you pay so much money to be there. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just, I don't know. We live in this modern age. We all have this giant screen. You're going to get the front seat
Yeah.
from your living room. Why spend the money to smell the burning rubber?
So, have you seen this new screen setup? They had it for football. It looks like you're at the stadium. It's like the crazy wraparound LED screens.
No.
And it looks like, it's like, this is a screen. You are not in a stadium. This is a screen. It's like, holy shit, I got to go to that.
Is it like a virtual reality headset kind of thing?
No, there are seats that look like seats in a stadium.
Okay.
I don't know what this is. It just popped up on Instagram. I was like, holy crap, that's amazing.
That's cool.
So are you old school F1 person or new school?
New school.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lewis Hamilton?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I basically, like, my brother was into it, and then he got me to watch the Netflix series. And so I've been watching it for like 4 years.
So I will give you, have you ever seen the Senna documentary?
My parents watched it, and they're like, you have to watch this.
Yes.
So no, I haven't.
Okay.
But it is like last week I was painting a mural. This week I was sitting on my sofa, and I hope to do a lot more sofa sitting throughout these cold months. So I'm like stacking up these things
Okay.
that I want to watch,
Good.
and that is on the top of the list.
Senna, and I will give you, do you know about the show Top Gear?
Yeah.
The British show?
Yeah. I've watched Top Gear.
Those three guys are tremendously massive douche nozzles. I don't know a nice way to put it. They're not good dudes.
Okay.
They have said some woefully awful stuff. I love that show so much.
I remember watching it like 8 years ago.
It's almost one of those. It's the one thing I can separate the art from the artist.
Yeah.
Because those three guys are so awful. Like, Clarkson got fired for punching a producer in the face.
Oh, no.
Like, and they said awful things about, like, Mexicans and all kinds of stuff. Like, they're awful people. But I love that damn show. But the whole reason I say that is is either they or the Grand Tour where they talked about Ford versus Ferrari.
Okay.
There was the movie, but this was before the movie. They told that story, and it's one of the best, like, 15, 16 minutes of television I've ever seen.
Okay.
I think it's the one with James May talking about Ford versus Ferrari. And Clarkson did one on Senna.
Okay.
And Lewis Hamilton got to drive Senna's car.
Ooh, okay.
And was like shaking. It was just, he was like, I don't know what to do. Like, it's amazing.
I love Hamilton.
Amazing
he like
television.
Of all the Formula One drivers, like I love several of them, but Hamilton just has like so much class and like humility, and it's just like he's awesome. And
it's wild because he started so young.
That's what they all do, though.
I know. That just blows my mind still.
Yeah.
That they're like kids. And have you seen whenever I try to remember something, I hold up fingers. I'm like, okay. Have you seen the trailer for the F1 film with Brad Pitt?
I haven't seen the trailer, but I've seen like different shots where it's like, even today there was something that came up on my feed where it was like how they got this shot of like inside the helmet with like the head shaking,
Yes.
and so it's like you saw the further out, expanded view of that like production, and it looks really cool.
I'm going to play it in the background.
Okay, I'm here for
I
it.
have done this before where you can see my algorithm. It's Graham Norton show, making fun of the new Craven film, and then sports.
Sports.
Oh yeah, and there's comedy.
That's good.
Yeah, this is my feed. The guy who directed it, Joseph Kowinski, however you pronounce the name, he's the guy who did Tron Legacy.
Okay.
Tron Legacy, Oblivion with Tom Cruise, and then Top Gun Maverick.
Okay.
And it's just like he is like a crazy, like, technologically
high action.
Yes. Well, just the technology of it all. Like, that's what he nerds out over. And it's just, I'm going to lightly
Ferrari, Mercedes, Aston.
lightly play. We can do commentary over it.
Yeah.
Have to see this in IMAX. They've got to release this in IMAX.
How am I supposed to make that safe?
I saw something earlier today where it was like they had like the real stands in a Formula One, and they're like, okay, we're filming for a movie. We need you to pretend like someone wrecked. And so they had like real fans in the stands acting for the movie.
But it also helps that they're using We Will Rock You.
Yeah.
But everybody in it, like the kid that he's either mentoring or competing against, Damon Idris, he's from, what the hell was that show? Not Power. He was on a show that was very good.
Okay.
But it's just these shots.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Carrie Coon there, Javier Bardem. Like, it is just Apple.
Was that the actual engineer?
I think so.
I recognize him. Yeah. That's pretty cool.
But Apple has a bad habit. It's like that shot. Like
Well, this is what it looks like when you're watching the races. It's the same angle.
I haven't watched one in Snowfall. That was the name of that show. It was
Okay.
on FX.
A lot of these, that like angled shot is definitely different, but it's amazing what they do when you're watching the races live, how many different camera angles they have. And it like sometimes it feels like you're looking at their hands holding the steering wheel through their like teeny tiny windshield, if they even have a windshield. Yeah.
I haven't watched it in a while, so I haven't seen that. So I'll have to check back in. But it's just, I don't know. Apple has a bad habit of not releasing their films in theaters, I'm like, you have to release that in the theater.
I would love to see that.
Like, you have to be you can't watch that on your iPhone. You can't watch that on your
No.
TV. You gotta,
Even if you have a
IMAX.
big TV.
IMAX
Yeah.
that shit, man.
Yeah.
You gotta, no, I can't. This is kind of hilarious. We're like 12 minutes in, and I haven't even gotten into the question. We're just
Whatever.
talking what's the other sports thing that you were like,
Oh, the embarrassing sports thing. So my husband's into watching like all of the sports balls. I'm like a die-hard Survivor fan.
oh.
And so that's my sports.
sport.
It is sports. It's sports for the non-athletic body. Like that.
It's nice talking to you. Have fun going back to Okra.
No, I
Sorry.
like it's one of those things that I was just like into for a long time and didn't say anything. I'm like, you know what? Survivor, yes. And I can talk it up if you
Okay.
want me to. But
think
I know it's not for
the
everyone.
backstabbing and all that. I don't.
It's not. So it's reality TV for sure. That is like so.
Yeah.
I got into it because someone from my high school was on it.
Okay.
And I was just like,
Oh.
oh, okay, I know that person. I'll watch it. You know, someone I know and only barely know
Yeah.
is on reality TV. I'll watch it. And then I got hooked on it, and it does this really good job of like combating whatever like cultural issue is going on in
Okay.
real life at the time. And I think it's really interesting.
Okay.
And you have like these really like scrawny or older or unathletic and awkward people that all of a sudden they have to balance something like a ball on a
Yeah.
stick, and they do it and they win, and it's just like, you know, muscle man in the corner loses, and it's
Okay.
just like, okay, all right, I like being able to root for the weird person and
Okay.
they actually
I
be
can
able
see that.
Yeah, that's what I love
Okay.
about it.
What's the one where they travel, where it's a team of two?
The Amazing Race.
I've heard that one. That I would like that one probably a lot more.
Yeah, maybe
Maybe.
I don't know.
I'm not going to watch Survivor.
I'm not asking you to. I'm just saying.
You said you were good at selling it. Come on now.
I'm just saying that I love it. And there's Australian Survivor, and
I thought you were going to say I'm really into ice skating or ice racing. I did not expect
Yeah.
Survivor.
professional bowling.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Those guys with the mustaches. Oh, yeah.
No, it's Survivor. So I was
Okay.
like, whenever, like, actually last night was part 1 of the finale. And
Okay.
like, my husband's like, okay, it's your Super Bowl. Like, here, you go sit on the sofa. I got dinner.
Oh, my God.
That's my sport.
Oh, my God. I was going to say, and it's out of football season, out of baseball season. He's just like, well, I guess I'm trying to think of two. MIT is playing Yale in basketball. I'll watch that. Like, that's a dude thing. It's like these two teams that nobody gives a crap about. He's like, yeah, I'll watch that.
Yeah.
I'll watch that in the other room. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Survivor. And
It-
F1.
And
Survivor
Formula
and
1, yeah.
F1.
It's,
No NASCAR.
no,
I think
Haven't-
NASCAR's stupid. I don't.
I'm not. Yeah. And
It's
it's
in
just
a circle. It's
okay. And fun fact, I was born in Daytona, very close to the raceway.
Oh, okay.
And still, it should be in my blood, and it's just not. Not
Okay.
you know, NASCAR's not.
F1. Have you tried? Shit, what's it called? The one that's off road.
I haven't. I'm not actively looking for more sports to watch.
Okay. I'm talking about off-road racing.
Yeah, I've seen things. I've seen like clips from it, and it's always amazing. Where it's like you have like the driver and the passenger's like giving them this like timed thing where it's like you have to turn 4 degrees in 0.6 seconds or something like that. Like,
It's just called off-road racing. I thought it had a different name. But I think what's fascinating to me is how the people are standing on the side of the road.
Yeah.
And these cars whip through. That's the stuff I like watching.
yeah,
It's like, that is nuts.
yeah.
I will say, to wrap up bow on this, because we got to move on. The people at home listening are like, I wish you would have ended it when she said, no.
That was the end.
The Ferrari film that just came out. I cannot recommend it.
I did not watch it.
It feels very racist.
Oh no!
Like it's two Americans doing what seemed like comically bad Italian accents.
Oh no!
And then Penelope Cruz, I guess because she is ethnic,
yeah,
we'll make her Italian too.
she's
Like,
definitely Italian.
It's like, come on, guys. Ford versus Ferrari is amazing. And there's a film from like 20... Hell's bells. My brain is fried. It's a one-word thing. Chris Hemsworth, Daniel Bruhl.
So you're remembering a lot of it, but
I know.
not.
How bad is it that I can remember?
Is it
that?
called like Drive or something? I really, when we start talking about what I'm doing for work, it has totally consumed me, and like movies and popular media.
But as you're looking for stuff to watch,
I know.
Senna
And
Ford versus Ferrari is fantastic.
Okay.
Rush. You're not far off.
Rush.
You're not far
Okay.
off. 2013, but it's about James Hunt and Niki Lauda, and they're like battling one another.
Okay.
And it's like 70s. It's awesome.
It's good. Okay.
I was surprised. Like I remember I was like, I'll just put this on the background, and I was just like, this is amazing.
Okay.
This is great. I think it's how they shoot the races and stuff.
Okay.
But if you're really into F1, you may be like, oh, this is...
I'll make a day of it.
Yeah.
Or it's like,
Ford versus
make my
Ferrari.
own like Formula One trilogy
You're going
movie
to DM
day.
me. What's that lame title?
No,
Is
I
it
was
Dr-
just like, as soon as you said Rush, I was like, I should rewatch Rush Hour. So now I'll
Oh, my
remember
God.
it.
How many of those? There's like a Rush Hour 3, isn't there?
I only know about the second. There could be more. They could have made Rush Hour 7.
I think they
don't
talked
know.
about making Rush Hour 4. And I was like, haven't we said enough?
Haven't we done this?
We've
Yeah.
got enough. We're good.
Yeah.
Speaking of being good, look at this segue. So you're from Daytona. You were born in Daytona.
I was born in Daytona.
How long did you live in Daytona?
Very short amount of time.
And where was the next place for you?
All right. So I've moved a lot
Okay.
in my life. I'm hoping that currently I feel like East Tennessee could be just about forever for me.
Okay.
But born in Daytona, lived in another small town in Florida called Palaca for a little while, near St. Augustine.
Okay. St. Augustine's awesome.
Yep, it's on the St. Johns River, really small town. And if I'm ever talking to somebody, they're like, oh, Northern Florida, small town on the St. Johns River. I'm like, I know, Palaca, there you are.
Yeah.
But so that's where my mom grew up. And then Greenville, South Carolina,
Okay.
Wilmington, North Carolina.
Greenville. Have you been back?
I still have family there. I've been back a couple times.
It's a
Yeah.
It's a great city.
It
Like
has
there's a lot of
grown.
good food and
Yeah.
stuff there.
Their
It's-
downtown
Yeah.
is super cute.
I've got 2 different friends that live there, and I went to visit one of them in 2022 and was kind of shocked at how much good food and cool stuff was there. I was, no offense to
No,
Greenville.
I went. It's probably been close to 10 years ago since I like really went and did like downtown stuff. But even then, I was like really
Yeah.
impressed. But I remember when I was young, I did this project, and they had like empty buildings in downtown, and they were just like, "Oh, cool! It's this art project. We'll just bring these kids in,
Hell
and they'll
yeah.
just like be able to take over the space in downtown, just vacant downtown building." And I remember even as like an 8-year-old being like, "What's going on here?
Yeah.
This feels a little,
Yeah.
seedy or whatever." But yeah, so elementary school days in Greenville, Wilmington, North Carolina, and then Asheville for like
Okay.
the majority of time. That's like what I would consider like home is Asheville.
Oh God, I don't want you to reveal your age because that's inappropriate to ask. But what
No, I
year,
can reveal
what
my
years?
age.
What years were you in Asheville?
I'm fine to reveal my age. I'm turning 38 next week.
Okay.
So I was born in 86, and I was in Asheville from 6th grade through college.
Okay, so you got to see a lot of the change.
Yeah.
Like, because I remember going there in the early 2000s where you had Tupelo Honey and Mayfell's downtown.
Yep.
And it was like getting up on a Sunday morning. I went there a lot for just weekends because I stayed at that weird hotel that's like 4 levels that they all face the street. I think it was like a Days Inn right there on Patton Street.
Okay.
It was cheap as crap back in the day.
Okay.
I could
yeah.
get $35 a night staying there.
Okay.
So I would just be like, grab my crap and go over for 2 nights.
Yeah.
Just hang out and eat and go hike and go to Biltmore. And on Sunday morning, I would get up and go down to get brunch, and I would be the only person on the street. And then the brewery started coming in, and then tech came in, and it was just like, what the heck? Now when I go, I'm like, that hotel is like $300 a night, and it's still a piece of crap. And I'm not happy with how expensive Asheville's gotten.
It's been quite the ride, I think, for Asheville. And I think like I was growing up as Asheville was growing up. So like I was definitely downtown as a kid, and you know, it wasn't this like hustle and bustle kind of place. But like one of my memories there is like ringing in the year 2000. I was in like the front seat of that double-decker bus, the red bus on the corner there, that coffee shop. I was with my best friend and my dad on like New Year's Eve, 1999. We were worried about Y2K. Y2K. And so like that, you know, like that, like kind of like memory on Biltmore Avenue, and like so. And my parents lived there for a long time. They live in Tennessee now. They've been over here for about 5 years, about the same timeline that I've been here. But my in-laws are still out in western Buncombe County.
Are they okay?
They're okay, yeah.
They didn't get hit by...
They did not get hit, and they had a well, so they had water. They were very, very fortunate. They're out in Leicester, and Leicester really didn't get it as much as like East Asheville and other areas. Yeah. But that is, I mean, I know a ton of people over there that some fared a lot better than others.
My friend Hannah, who's up in one of my closest friends in Cleveland, Ohio, Snakes and Aces. I was showing her stuff about like, you know, Northeast Tennessee and Western North Carolina. And she was like, I'm not seeing any of this on the news anywhere. She was like, this is insane this is happening and no one is talking about it. I was like, nobody is talking about it really. It's like, we're from down here and we're barely hearing. And I feel like kind of Northeast Tennessee kind of got the short shrift and all that.
There was a smaller portion of Tennessee that got it, so the focus definitely went to Western North Carolina.
But some of the towns in Tennessee got decimated.
Really hit.
Gone. Like gone.
Well, in North Carolina, like one of my friends from high school, her parents' home washed away. And they have a video of them like watching the house go down the river. Like it's on Instagram where it's just like and it was like her childhood home. She had only ever lived in that home in Asheville. And then like I have friends in Old Fort, which is at the bottom of the mountain, and they got hit really hard too. And she's a second generation potter, and she had like started this was getting ready to start this new pottery studio, had new wheels, new equipment, had just had it for like a week. That got flooded.
There was some bar that the dude had like finally got to a place where he took the chance, started a bar.
I know exactly which one you're talking about.
And it was like 2 weeks in. And I can't remember.
Day something. Day Trip was the name of the bar.
And just completely...
And there's a muralist that I follow who had done the work for it.
Really?
And I had seen the work already because I was watching on Instagram. Gus Cuddy is like a huge mural artist over in Asheville. And I was just like, oh, wow, yeah, that's a really great piece. And then you see it covered in mud or not at all.
I still tell, there's a cigar shop. So there in downtown, I never know where this building is. But there's a building and then it has like like almost below street level, it has a bunch of little shops, and one of them's like a head shop kind of place, which there's a lot of head shops in Asheville. But it has a tremendous cigar humidor in there. And so I went in there, and I was just like, I walked in, and I could almost touch the walls. That's how small that room was. But I was looking around, I was like, they've got good stuff in here. And the guy walked in, he was like, can I help you pick out anything? I was like, no, this is awesome. And he was like, thank you. And I was like, no, I like cigars and you've got great selection. He's like, oh, thank you. And he started showing, he's like, have you seen this? Have you seen? So he's the guy that they opened that Casablanca Cigar Lounge in Biltmore Village.
Oh, no.
They opened one there and one in
Biltmore Village is
another town. But the photos of that one in Biltmore Village, like completely everything.
Yeah.
And that humidor, And my buddy and I were talking about it. I was like, that humidor probably had $50, $75, $100,000 worth of stock.
Yep.
That is just gone.
Yep.
But people, like 3 days later, huge community of people already in there helping gut it and clean it out and start to rebuild.
Yeah.
Like, it's nuts.
Well, and like the Swananoa River is known to flood.
Yeah.
It flooded when I was in high school with Hurricane Ivan.
Oh, yeah.
And it was right after, like, I went to junior prom, and we went to that fondue, the melting pot.
Oh, yeah,
which was
yeah.
like right along
yeah.
in Biltmore Village in Asheville, and so it was like we went there, and then it was flooded, and it's just like it's just you have these moments and memories, and you think you'll return, and then it just didn't. I don't think it came back after
and
that.
now it's the trying to get over there. Like, we went over to a show a few weeks ago. Shocker. I went out of town for a show.
You go to the Orange Peel, or
no, we went to, do you know Burial Beer?
Yeah.
It's my favorite brewery in the world.
They're awesome.
No offense to any of my friends that own breweries or listen to this. Burial Beer is my favorite. And I chatted with the owner on social media.
I had a friend work for them for a while.
But they are the best.
Yeah.
And I will give them their flowers because the owner was like, if you need water, we have potted water. Come. Please come. Do you need food? We're going to grill food every day from like 11 a.m. till 6 p.m. and it's free.
Yep.
Come and eat. Oh, do you need stuff to take with you? We've had people from farms drop off stuff. Take it. We've built a care package. I was like, you will get all my business all the time because you are awesome people that are doing that. So they have a music venue called Eulogy, which is around back now.
Okay.
Smaller venue. Saw this band Low Moon. But we went over and we had to go around through Newport, and it took 2.5, 2:45 to get over there. And I was like, but once we got to Asheville, it was fine.
Yeah.
But it was going through like Hot Springs and some of that area that was still boarded up businesses and rough.
So since my in-laws are in Leicester, we always go through Newport and Hot Springs. It's like about the same distance, but it's more scenic, and we enjoy like a windy road over the interstate any day. But seeing and there was a brewery in Hot Springs. I think that they're going to rebuild Big Pillow Brewery.
I think I know them. Yeah.
And they were right on the river, so they got hit really hard.
Burial would share if any of those places had like a GoFundMe or anything, they would share. So I think there's one of my favorite places in Marshall, Sweet Monkey, I think is what they're called. They make monkey bread and baked goods. Yeah. They got completely decimated. That lady, the next day was out there, had made food, and if you need it, come get it.
Yeah.
And so somebody there, somebody's like, we need to give you money. And she's like, no, you do not. And so somebody started a GoFundMe for her, and I dropped like $100. I was like, I love that place. I hate that you're, gone. Yeah. Now. I hope you rebuild, but the fact that you're out there feeding people every day when your life is decimated.
I've heard that the community that came out after the storm was just, incredible, and that people feel like a renewed sense of joy in being where they are and knowing their neighbors, and that, in some streets it's like they didn't have power, they didn't have water, so everybody was out with a grill in their front yard and all their kids were playing in the street and like felt like a simpler and beautiful and better time in some ways amongst all that. But it's, I've been following it, and like with my line of business, if it's raining, like I'm not working most of the time, and like that, like I had this crazy year, and that was like, oh, hurricane came in, I get a break. It barely rained over here, but it was enough to like make me not have to go to work. And all I was doing was like, the doom scroll. What's going on in Asheville? What else have they released? And, you couldn't text anyone for a couple of days. And it's like we just had to take it on faith that like everyone was all right. And it was stressful. So like to just have your heart there and like not really be able to contribute beyond a GoFundMe. That was a tough thing. For sure.
Okay. On to positive things.
Yeah, let's talk about something good.
So, Asheville, you went to college in Asheville?
I did. I went to UNCA, got a fine art degree, painting.
Okay. Let's go back for a second, though.
Okay.
What did your folks do for a living?
My folks, my dad was in real estate.
Okay.
So he was an appraiser, he was an agent, he was a broker. He did all things real estate, and that entailed me like driving around with him on the weekends and ignoring no trespassing signs and just like walking around houses. So that was really fun. And my mom did bookkeeping and secretarial work for all sorts of companies.
Okay.
Before she retired, she was working for a pharmaceutical company.
Okay.
She worked for a powder coating company.
Yeah.
She worked for just, insurance companies, whatever.
Whatever paid the bills.
Whatever paid the bills, and usually whatever came with really good benefits was what she was after.
Do you have any siblings?
It's a tough topic. I lost my brother last year.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
No, it's okay. It will probably come up again.
Okay.
Because I did have a sibling. He was amazing, and we don't have him anymore.
So with what they did they encourage you all to be like artistic, or was there always art supplies around the house?
Yeah. I loved it from a really young age. Okay. And so there was always like this bucket of like markers and crayons and pens and just like rough paper laying around. The table would be covered in a roll of paper.
Oh, yeah.
And my mom got me in some art classes when I was still in elementary school. Okay. And they said positive things. So I was always encouraged.
Okay.
In a really positive way. And then when I went to college, I was not like, I'm going to be an artist. I'm going to be, I was studying math and psychology. And I thought those things were really interesting. And I was like, I'm just going to take a couple art classes. Just, I didn't really take them that much in high school. I was a band geek and so I was like, let me just take them because it's like, this is something that I love. And then it just became like one art class to 3 other things, and then the next semester 2 art classes to 2 other things. And
steamrolled.
Yeah, and then I just had a lot of support, and I felt passionate about it, and I was like, all right, let's do this.
Were comics or cartoons like big for you when you were a kid?
I drew a lot of Garfield.
Oh, okay. Okay. How do you feel about lasagna and Mondays?
Mondays are the worst. I have a thing for cats. I'm a crazy cat lady, so that correlates.
Okay.
And like Dilbert, like I copied a lot of comics. Like Invader Zim was another thing where it's just like I drew all the Invader Zim characters, and for a while it was just like reproducing what I saw.
Okay.
But it was just usually just I would draw the sofa in the room, or the lamp, or my hand, or my shoe.
I love lamp. Okay.
I love lamp. Lamp gives off good light. Makes for an interesting subject.
Speaking of sports ball, and lamps.
And lamps.
In the office, you can't see it.
Okay.
It's behind one of many CD racks.
Okay.
Is the lamp I had growing up as a kid, which is a little UT football helmet.
Oh, awesome.
That thing barely hangs on, and I have to always put it back on there. But I'm like, I will not give up this thing. This is awesome. It's got an inch of dust on it. It's damn it.
Someday that'll hold it together.
Yeah, seriously. Okay, so you're going to college. You start taking art classes. What kind of art classes were you taking? Was it all like painting, or did you do any like 3D or ceramics?
They make you do everything.
Oh, okay.
So I opted to do like the full art thing. So it's like a BA or a BFA, and it was like 5 years to do the BFA.
Oh, okay.
And I did that. So I took, I did the darkroom photography. I took ceramics. I took sculpture. Did some welding, art history, drawing.
Okay.
All of the things. I did all of the things, at least a little bit. Printmaking. At one point, I thought I might go into printmaking over painting, but the idea of like having a room for a press and all of the things associated with that, I was like, painting is more accessible. I'm just going to stick with drawing and painting.
It's more the wash sink. The wash sink and having to burn screens are the real pain in the butt when it comes to print.
It wasn't even screen printing, but the dark room to do like intaglio prints.
Oh, yeah.
And then I was getting really into lithography, which comes with like 40-pound stones.
Yeah.
And, and so it it still feels like something that I'd like to do sometime. And I love what they're doing over at Relay Ridge. I don't know if you're following.
Oh, yeah, I
that.
know
Yeah.
Ashton.
Yeah. And so it's like I'd love to do workshops like that. But like screen printing is fun. I definitely did some screen printing. Back when I was in high school, they had a print shop. I went to a really awesome high school, and we did offset lithography.
Okay.
And that was just like, okay, let's make cool little notebooks. And
So
we could do screen printing there too. And so, yeah, it was.
So now I get to tell my... So I went to Fulton. It was
Yeah.
a vocational school. They had
Okay.
upholstery, woodworking, electrical,
That's cool.
but print shop, offset lithography.
Yeah.
It was one of only 2 classes that is called graphic arts. 1 or 2 classes that had computers. Is that and drafting had computers. And so I wanted to get involved with computers, so I took print shop. And so I ran presses, ran the dark room, strip up, burning plates, like bindery, all that stuff. You had to learn
The
how to
crazy,
do-
like, two-handed press to, like, cut big stacks of
yeah.
paper.
Oh,
Like,
it-
I remember being like, oh!
Well, so the thing was, my instructor, I love saying his name, Conley Miracle.
Ooh.
Conley Miracle was an old school print head. He had worked in, I think he never would tell us where, but I think it was in NORAD in Colorado,
Okay.
which is the Army base, which is like 5 miles underground.
Oh,
Because he would
okay.
talk about having to walk and
It's
then
all
like walk a
confidential.
mile and then take an elevator down like 2 or 3 or 5 miles, whatever, to his print shop. So when he started teaching there, he taught in Oak Ridge first.
Okay.
And then he started teaching there. He scrapped every bit of thing in there. So we actually had a hydraulic cutter.
Yeah.
To where you hit the bar and
Yep.
yeah. Do you have a tolerance for gross stuff?
Minimally.
So my buddy,
Did he lose a finger?
I don't want to say his name because
That's
he is currently in prison for some very awful things.
Non-hydraulic press related activities.
Yeah. He was holding the paper,
Oh no.
hit the hydraulic clamped the top of his finger, and then ripped it out instead of, yeah. And no, so Greg, one of the press guys, is sitting there doing it, and he sees it, and that guy is a big, like, mohawked metalhead, just yoked dude. And just blood.
Oh no.
Spraying it out. And then Greg is like, holy shit. And then Mr. Miracle, the rest of the day, carried the tip of his finger in his pocket. This is why you follow OSHA regulations.
He should have kept it always.
Yeah.
Just like have it like laminated.
Here's where I'm going to argue with that. 'Cause you may
It's not a
know-
good idea.
No. Do you remember Weber? Did y'all have Weber rail pads? Those were the pads when you put the chemicals on the plate that you would wipe it down to where it would turn from green to the silver color.
I don't remember
So
that
you would do
specific
that.
thing. But
So
yeah.
I was doing strip up, sitting there, I'm stripping up and doing the little marker, ruby lift,
Okay.
where
Yeah.
you're getting all the dots. And I sliced it and sliced the tip of my, like that.
You lost a finger too.
Well, part.
Yeah, it's
And
still
it's
there.
funny because my fingernail is still lopsided.
Yeah.
But I immediately grabbed a Weber reel pad, which is just cotton, and put it on there. Well, taking it off later hurt worse than cutting the fingertip off.
Yeah.
Because it was like almost
Glued.
down to the bone. So sorry.
It's a dangerous thing,
So
isn't
I
it?
go
Art
up
is
to-
dangerous.
I go up and I'm talking to Mr. Miracle, and I was like, may I have a Band-Aid? And he was like, why do you need the Band-Aid? And I was like, well, I cut my finger. Jody, this is why we follow. And he went off on me. I'm bleeding on his carpet for
And
a
he's
good
giving you a lecture.
5 minutes. And I'm like, I'm going to pass out. Like, can I just have the Band-Aid? And he was like, he finally gave me a Band-Aid. And I took that Weber pot and I about punched holes in walls. It hurt so
Yeah.
bad. And I put that Band-Aid on, and it was bad for a long time. It took a long time. But I just remember him sitting there, Jody, this is why I have you take that OSHA test. I was like, I know, God, I just have a Band-Aid. I'm 15.
High
Can't just-
schoolers should not have to know about OSHA just yet.
No.
But I mean, but print shops are dangerous.
He
Like,
would make you pass 100% the OSHA test. You couldn't miss one problem before you could go back in the shop. He was hardcore.
I feel like this high school I went to is called AC Reynolds.
Okay.
So it's like East Asheville. And our printmaking class was like you had 4 periods in the day. It would take up half the day. And it was
We had that too.
awesome.
Graphic arts 1 and 2. Yeah.
It was in the basement, and our teacher was Miss Gory, and she was so cool. I'm actually pretty sure that she went to prison for growing weed for a little bit.
I think Biden may have released her today.
I think he should have. If she was there for longer than 12 months, I would be really surprised.
Also, she was growing weed in Asheville.
Asheville?
I feel like that comes with home ownership in Asheville.
I know.
Yeah.
But this, I think, was before things were legal or whatever. But she was awesome and so chill. And it was like the print shop was right next to the like auto shop kids. And there was this one kid that she like had been in printmaking, and then he was a senior, and he would come and sell venison jerky to all of us. And that's what I remember from printmaking is like I would draw all day, turn some of it into like notepads or screen prints, and the rest of it would just be like fun art stuff. And
so almost all the work we did was commercial work. Like we did work for a pager company called Volcom.
Really?
To where I did yellow page ads for Volcom when I was in high school.
We did like newspaper for the school, but never like beyond.
But we did like business cards for teachers. Like you would do that, and we would get paid. And when you hit a certain amount, we'd have a pizza party. Well, like my freshman year, we had like 1 or 2 pizza parties.
That's crazy.
By my senior year, we'd build it up so much we were having a pizza party like every 2 weeks to a month. Like it was nuts.
Yeah.
But the intaglio, so my art teacher in high school, Miss Waller, her and her husband had been art professors at UT, and then she went and started teaching high school. So we did intaglio, screen printing, figure drawing. We did anything you could imagine.
That sounds like everything I did in college.
She exposed us to all of that stuff.
That's so cool.
She is the absolute best. Miss Waller.
Miss Gory would just like be like, "What do you want to make? What are you interested in?" And like, I was talking about drawing Invader Zim stuff. I think I still have these notepads that have like Gur from Invader Zim and have my name on them, where it's just like glued, nothing notepads, whatever.
Where's Mr. Miracle's like, you got to print them Alispell Spring Hill, Alispell Ballpark football programs. You need to get that done.
Yeah.
Like we had jobs.
On the clock.
Like, we were on the clock. I remember somebody we had Prevoke where you took 2 weeks worth of each program, like auto mechanics or electrical, to figure out what you wanted to do.
That's cool.
That's what everybody did their freshman year. And you made notepads in there, and I remember one of the kids spelled knowledge lage.
Oh, no.
Lage.
Yeah.
And Mr. Miracle gave them crap until they graduated. And I bet if he saw them tomorrow, he would
say the
still
same
give them
thing.
crap
Yeah.
about, like, you got to proofread.
But that is the fact, like the vocational school where it's just like explore all of these like hands-on, blue-collar, self-propelled sorts of occupations. Like that's so cool.
And they're gone.
I don't know if it's still there. I should actually look at this. My senior year, it's like I was in Buncombe County, and they had 6 or 7 schools. I think it was 6, and then there was a city school. There was also another building. It was the Career Education Center.
Okay.
And it might have been open to adults, but I think it was mostly for high school age kids. And so I would drive for my 4th period one year, and I took welding. But they had offset lithography there. They had cosmetology. They had networking, like computer networking, masonry.
I forgot we had cosmetology and home economics, but they wouldn't allow boys in those classes.
Ridiculous.
Because of course.
Yeah.
It's the 90s. We can't do that.
No.
Yeah. I would have totally taken home economics and learned how to sew and cook and all that.
I know home economics was available at my school, but I thought of it mostly as like people that had kids whenever they were still in high school, and that was just like
we have plenty of those too,
kind of thing. But that's probably not what was going on. But that's where my brain was at. But I took this welding class. It was a stick welding class. So they're like basically training you to like go out and have like an example of your welding skills so that you can go and like take it to an apprenticeship sort of program. And it was awesome. And like I was the first female to take that class in like 20 years, and the guy did not know what to do with me. He like put me in this booth that had like lower voltage, and then like everyone had to change out of their regular clothes into their welding clothes, and he's like, just go down the hall, all the guys, they went and changed in the welding booths, whatever. It's like I had to go down the hall. He had a hook for a hand, and it's just like, he showed you how to weld with the hook. And I was like, I'm taking this because I want to be an artist, and I want to like learn how to weld and use metal for art. And he would show me these things that like he'd taken a piece of tubular metal and just like welded a bunch of beads all along it, made it look like a branch, and then turned it into a lamp. He's like, look at it. He was like so proud of it, and it was really cool. But it was just like, I think that I was like so far out of
the norm
in his box that it was just like, what do we do? But it was cool. I learned how to do like overhead welding and layered welding, and it's all like stick welding. So you have like the flux and core where it's like you weld and then you have to clean each weld. Whereas like regular welding, it has like the gases that clean it as you go. So it was industrial.
Okay.
It was fun.
It's industrial.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was high school.
That was high school. That was senior year. Yeah.
Okay. Wait, good Lord. I'm bouncing all over the place.
That's good.
Was there an artist or a piece of art that kind of made you stand up and take notice?
At that point?
No, anytime. Like even when you were little. Other than Invader Zim.
Other than Invader Zim and cartoons. I really loved MC Escher. I had like a bunch of MC Escher books, and I would study his tessellations, and especially the ones that like would go from like it's a checkerboard to it's this, and it has like 6 iterations, and then all of a sudden it's birds flying off into the distance.
In my basement, there is a like 8-foot long piece.
Probably that exact one. Yeah.
It is because the KMA brought in some of his pieces in like the late 90s, early 2000s. Bud and I may have talked about that on the episode of Bud.
Really?
Release. I think we may have. There was somebody on here that I talked about because they went to that show too. May have not been Bud. May have been.
It may have been. I didn't listen to the whole episode. I'm driving for 35 minutes.
Okay.
I listened to, and I would like fast forward and listen, and then fast forward and listen, and just kind of. I was trying to get a feel of like what.
Yeah, we talked about both having that piece. I think it was Bud because I think he DM'd me like he's in Memphis. Like that, God, he's going to listen to this and be like,
yes.
Yeah, it was me, you dummy. Dude, I've done a lot of these. I'm sorry.
No.
That was a long time. That was like 100 episodes, Bud. Anyway, but yeah, those brought those pieces here. Like, it was kind of nuts to see it in person.
Well, and so it's like I grew up, when people ask me where I grew up, I say Asheville, even though there were like 6 cities before that. And when I moved here, I said something to my family where it's just like, we lived in Asheville, and I don't ever remember going to Knoxville. It wasn't like we went camping in the Smokies, and I remember Pigeon Forge or Gatlinburg kind of stuff, and I did something at Arrowmont at one point, but like Knoxville was just like not on my radar at all. And my mom told me that we went to an art show in Knoxville, and it makes me wonder, like, was it the MC Escher thing?
I wonder if it was.
It could have been, because she knew that I was really into it, and we were there, like, right across the mountain. So, like, it
could have
very
been.
well could have been.
Yeah.
I need to ask her.
Would she remember? That was
She might.
98, 99, 2000. My
There
buddy
was
Greg and I
some
went.
event that brought us here.
Okay.
I don't remember what it was.
Huh. Okay, so you're in high school. You're taking those classes. When it came time to graduate, you said math and
Psychology. I took this AP psychology class in high school, and I was enamored.
Okay.
So I took a couple of psychology classes.
So when you go to school, your parents are like, cool, you're going to do something that will make you my psychology.
Oh, my parents were not into the psychology thing.
Oh, were they not?
They thought that was a dead end. They're like, you might as well be doing, like, I think social sciences to them looked like a non-profitable future.
I guess real estate and bookkeeping are very, okay.
But
psychology feels more
academic. It's academic is a thing where it's like, it wasn't a practical thing. It
you can be a
interested
psychologist.
me. You can.
But I'm thinking math, you're going to end up being a teacher, right?
Yes or no. I mean, my brother ended up with a math degree, and he went on to be an actuary, which is like a very
is an actuary?
An actuary is like a statistical modeling sort of job. That
I was about to do there's a podcast I love, Never Not Funny, with Jimmy Pardo. He's like, well, obviously I know what that means, but can you tell the audience what that means? As I Google it.
Yeah, it's a lot of statistics, and it's like actuaries will kind of determine how insurance companies build their plans.
I work for an insurance agency. I've heard that term. It just hit me that I've heard that term before, because I think when I got told that term at work, I was like, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
That doesn't sound real. It sounds like a made up word.
It's like these 10 jobs you've never heard of that pay really good or something.
Yeah.
It makes all of those lists.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he did that.
When you went to school, they were just like, what were they wanting you to get into? Did they have any?
They didn't have an agenda. They were just happy that I stayed in Asheville.
Okay.
That was part of it. And I also I married my high school sweetheart.
Aww.
So he was at a different high school in Asheville than me, but we both were like, well, we're going to stay in Asheville and see what happens with this.
Two
and
different
UNCA.
schools. Romeo and Juliet.
I know. Star-crossed lovers across the mountains.
What down? Oh my God! There's another one. I will give you more homework.
Okay.
And this Cary, North Carolina. This ties to Cary, North Carolina.
Okay. Yeah.
Andy Griffith.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard his comedy albums?
I don't think so.
Oh,
I know absolutely not.
My God! Please. There are two for sure. Romeo and Juliet, and what it was football.
Okay. Sports ball.
Yeah.
Romeo and Juliet.
Romeo and Juliet is like, Romeo. I was about to imitate him. I'm going to do a horrible impersonation where he goes, you said across the mountains, like, Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou, Romeo? Well, I'm not cheer. Like, that's the joke. Like, it's a Southern Romeo and Juliet.
Okay.
You got to play. Yeah.
I got time for this.
Yeah. This is making me excited because I love his stand up. Like, is very funny. But what it was football. Was like, I was looking for a big orange drink. Like, it's just, I don't know. There's something. Well, Andy Griffith. It's Andy Griffith.
It's
He's
Andy
amazing.
Griffith. I've seen multiple episodes of Andy Griffith, but it's just like it's
Oh my
background noise when you're doing something. And one of the things that like always stands out to me whenever I'm working outside and painting is like I listen to what's going on around me. And at this last thing I did down in Athens, somebody was walking around and whistling. Andy Griffith.
I don't want to get
it was multiple
demonetized.
times while I was out there, and it was just like I don't know. It just like it hit a memory, or it's just like I feel like that's one of those things that I'm always going to associate with that job.
That was after school when I would go to my grandparents' house. That was always on from like, was it 4 to 5? Or it'd be like 2 episodes. It's either 4 to 5 or 5 to 6. It was right before the news.
Okay.
Whatever it was always on. So I've seen every episode of the Andy Griffith Show, God knows how many times. And I need to correct myself. It's not Cary, North Carolina. It's Mount Airy, North Carolina.
Okay.
I will get corrected on that. My buddy Wayne Bowman.
You took care of it yourself.
My buddy Wayne Bowman is from that area, and he is also a tremendously nice person. So I don't want to get an angry letter from Wayne. Never get an angry letter from Wayne. He's fine.
You don't want that.
He lives in Oak Ridge. Him and his wife.
What does he?
His wife, Teresa, I don't know if she still does it. Wayne, please forgive me. Because the socials, people talk about stuff on the socials like, you probably mentioned it one time and I missed it. But his wife used to be like the outreach person for Rugby, Tennessee.
Okay.
So they moved to Rugby, Tennessee, and they recently moved to Oak Ridge. And they live in some apartment there, and he calls it the big apartment in the sky. He's a former, like, hardcore, big-time ad agency copywriter guy.
Okay.
Like, was around, like, in the Mad Men times.
Okay, I was just going to say like that.
He's
yeah.
Wayne and Teresa are two of the nicest people in the world. But he always, on Facebook, he writes these big, long tomes about, we went to the grocery store today, and here's what happened. And it's always like, okay, I got to read this because this is the
it's going to be good.
What you do,
yeah,
it's awesome. Yeah.
Well, and I love someone that writes well about normal things.
Yeah.
when someone can talk about going to the grocery store and they do it in a way that enamors you and makes you want to read more, like that's good writing.
It's awesome. He's a great dude. Okay, so you're going to college. They're happy you're going there in college.
Yeah.
Did you get married when you were in college, or?
It was after.
Okay.
So
I realized that's where we left off. I was like, oh yeah, Romeo.
Yeah. So we graduated in 2010, and
he also went to.
Yep. To UNCA, and we both did like their undergraduate research program, which was like really intensive, and I ended up going to Montana to like present about my seniors thing. It was like kind of like grad school, but not quite there. They like set you up to go to grad school. I didn't go to grad school.
You're like, enough.
But
I got my welding. I know what I'm doing.
I've welded. I've painted. I'm good.
What was he in school for?
Chemistry.
Oh, okay.
And he did end up going to grad school, but we took a year where he was like, I'm not going to go to grad school. And we ended up moving to Worcester, Massachusetts.
Worcester. Or however you say it.
Worcester. Yeah, it's definitely Worcester.
Yeah.
We ate at Worcester Pizza. That's spelled like it sounds instead of how it actually is spelled. And that was just kind of like, okay, what can I do with a BA in chemistry? And it was work in a lab and drug test people's urine, and that didn't last too long.
Wait, so your degree is in chemistry?
No, his.
Oh,
his.
I thought you said, what could you do? I was like, wait,
no, what could he do? What could he do? I'm following. Like, I have an art degree. Like, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
I'm going to paint.
Yeah, I'm going to paint.
and essentially, I worked in restaurants for a long time. I worked in restaurants from high school through college. And if you've been to Asheville a bunch, maybe you know Cornerstone Restaurant. It's like on Tunnel Road. It's this locally owned, Greek-owned place that has like...
Is it still there?
It's still there.
I'm going to write that down.
They do giant Southern style country breakfasts.
Yes, I am writing that down.
And I would serve breakfast on Saturday and Sunday and make rent easily on those days. So that was my thing. It's like, okay, I'm going to serve breakfast on the weekends. I'm going to go to school during the week. And in the evenings, I had some night classes too, studio classes in the evening. But it's a fun spot.
I thought you meant did you wait tables in Worcester?
I did, yeah. So I started very early waiting tables in Asheville. And then when we went to Worcester, he got a job at a toxicology lab, and I worked at a bar.
Okay. No, I'm just thinking, knowing that city, you probably have stories at the wazoo.
We didn't last long in that city. We did not enjoy ourselves.
What? What? Say it ain't so.
And so it was less than a year. And so you were asking, did we get married while we were in college? We had that. We graduated. We went and had that experience. We came back to Asheville and we got married.
Okay.
And then after that, shortly after that.
You're really making your parents happy. You're like, we're not going to get married up there. We're going to come back and get married.
Okay, but then...
Oh, God, here we go.
We moved to Seattle.
Oh, I was going to say, I know the spoiler version of this. I know
so we came back. We came back to Asheville for like 3 months, got married, had a party, and then went to Seattle.
Your degree is in art?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
I can't remember if we had... Okay.
Yep.
So then is that where he went to...
Grad school.
Grad school.
Yep.
Which school?
University of Washington.
He actually did go to Washington.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And
so his alumni buddy, Joel McHale.
Yeah, there probably wouldn't have been overlap there.
No. I think Joel's older than me.
Yeah.
Like, no.
He looks young, but no. Yeah, we were out there from like 2012 to we moved here in 2018.
Okay. For the record, Joel McHale is 7 years older than me, so yes.
Okay.
There's no way in hell you would have. Okay. Okay, so you were out there then, and then you moved here?
Yep.
What made you choose Knoxville?
He got a PhD in physical chemistry, and he got a job at Oak Ridge National Lab.
Oh, okay.
So I was
Oak Ridge. Now it all comes into play.
Dun, 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 the puzzle pieces line
Seattle,
up.
were you Because that's a very like progressive, like murally city. Where did murals come into play?
So Seattle was several years of me like banging my head against a wall.
Okay.
I was still very adamant that art was going to be a big part of my life. I was renting studio space. I was showing work in smaller galleries. I was making big pieces and then not finding homes for them. We were living in these teeny tiny spaces, so like me having a studio was like double dipping for storage.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Where it's just like we had stuff, we didn't have a place to put it, but I wanted a studio, so I was painting during the day in a studio and then working at a restaurant at night. And at one point I moved to a new studio space in Capitol Hill, the Capitol Hill neighborhood of Seattle, and the building was covered in murals. And one corner of it got painted over and over again, usually with like liquor advertisements.
Yeah.
And I just was like, how do I do this? Like there are people out there that are painting on the street. How do I do this? And I contacted the organization that helped organize the whole building project because it had like a dozen different artists involved in it. And I started volunteering with them. And the organization is Urban Artworks. Okay. And it's like a youth-focused organization that hires kids that are in school that have been caught doing graffiti or not, but shows them like a productive way to use that energy and like a way to actually like get commissions and how do artists do this where they get to paint outside. And at the time, there were these two awesome women that were running it. Kathleen Warren was the director, and Lena Cholwinski was the program manager. And I was just like, hi, I'm here. I want to do stuff. What can I do? And I would just show up and paint. And
kind of like an apprenticeship.
Yeah. And I remember like the first or second day, I was like helping them paint this church. And I got to go up on a lift. And I was like, this is cool as fuck. Like, I want to do this. I'm on heavy machinery, and I'm covered in paint, and, like, people are yelling at me from the ground. Like, this is great. Like, how do I do more of this?
Here we go. Did I mention I can weld? I can weld. Well, I can do overhead welding.
And even before I was doing this, I was... Did you make a mark on your wall?
I had to look. I was like, please tell me I didn't just make a mark for a dumbass joke.
You're making marks on the wall. You're painting a mural in your house.
Yeah.
But
oh, I will say, because you just said that. Sorry for the interjection.
No, let's do it.
Because I mentor quite a few people, and I always tell them when they talk about wanting to do murals, I was like, you have walls in your house.
Yes.
Paint a freaking mural on now. Of course, I say that, and I have not done that here, but I would love to do that in the bedroom. I would love to take, and there's people who've taken me up on that. There's people that an entire wall
in their house
is a mural. And they're like, oh yeah, that's right. I can do that. It's like,
yeah,
because you can always paint over it.
You can.
Yeah.
I've been meaning to do it forever, but to just have a shirt, like basically like my company shirt should just say, it's just paint.
Yeah.
Because like you can always paint over paint.
Yeah.
Like that's not a big deal. But picking up where I left off, where it's just like, so before I started painting murals, I was really into doing these like mechanical forms on canvases.
Oh, okay.
And I did a piece about scissor lifts and boom lifts. And it was just kind of like this, like, this is some weird mechanical nonsense, whatever, but I'm going to like make it kind of this like anthropomorphized object. And then, a year later I'm up on a lift and it's like facilitating me making art.
Yeah.
And so like that felt important. But so I'm volunteering for them, and they're a youth-focused organization.
Okay.
But they're a well-known entity in the city, and people would come to them and be like, I have this wall. Can you do a mural on my wall? And it would be like too commercial or not in the right location or not big enough, something that didn't make it a feasible project to involve the kids.
Yeah.
And so they had this roster of artists where they're like, oh, no, we can't do that. But what about one of these three? Would you like to hire one of them? And so I made it onto that list and ended up getting a couple projects that way.
Awesome.
And so then it's just like from there, keep going.
What was the first piece you did?
The first piece I worked on was that church. The first piece I did individually they had this studio space in what used to be an immigration building in Seattle.
Okay.
So it has like these big rooms and marble staircases, and in the basement there's this hallway that's kind of broken up into these 3 sections on 2 sides, so 6 walls, and they just invited 6 artists to paint whatever they wanted.
That's
so
cool.
I got one of those sections, and I painted flowers and machines, and they kind of had like these faces. Like I did this straight 6 engine block that had these like holes in it that looked like these kind of like surprised clown faces.
Oh my God. Okay.
And then there was this other piece that kind of had like a, face looking thing, and one of them had bear's britches and the others had euphorbias. So it was like machines and plants.
Oh my God.
And
Because I'm realizing something else. So when Justin comes to you and says, "Can you do a sun sphere with a hamburger on the top of it?" It's just like, yeah, sure.
you know Justin.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've known Justin a long time. So if I'm thinking about this right, my best friend in high school, he dated his sister, and we went to Nashville on a trip together. The only time I ever got in trouble with my parents.
Oh, no.
Because I told them I was going to Gatlinburg because I thought we were going to Gatlinburg.
But you went west.
But we went to Nashville, and then his car broke down. We got stuck in Cookville or Crossville, and I had to explain why I took the bus home. And I lied, and I got...
Were you in trouble for going the wrong place or for lying?
both.
Yeah.
Why is it? Why can I not think of what that's called? When you're stuck at home, you can't go anywhere.
Grounded.
Grounded. I can never find that word. That word is gone from my brain. I don't know why.
You don't need it.
CTE. I blame it on CTE.
You're an adult. You don't have to worry about being grounded.
But Justin, my buddy didn't drive, neither did his sister, so he would have to pick us up. I've never told Justin this, but we've never talked about this. But when he was over on Inskip in the smaller place, he had asked me to do a mural on their back wall.
That's where he asked me to do it originally.
Okay, so I looked at that and I was like, no, that thing is leaking. This is going to be terrible.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be bad. I was like, I don't know about this. And, but there was, I have a penchant for finding restaurants early.
Yeah.
Like Jackie's Dream, I found them within a week of them opening.
Nice.
Inskip Grill, same thing. Within a week of opening, I found them. And I have sent so many people there. But like a year in, he looked at me. He's like, "Are you Big Jody who used to live on Washington Pike?" I was like, "How many other Big Jodys would there be in this damn town? I only know 2 other Jodys. One of them is tiny, and one of them is not that big either." I was like, "Yeah, that was me." And he was like, "I thought that was you. I did not recognize it." Sorry.
No.
Please,
No.
sorry, Justin. Please don't listen to this. But
honestly, Justin and Karen and the whole family, they are awesome.
they're hilarious.
They are hilarious, and
Yeah.
they are just like, we want to do something weird. Will you do it? You know?
Yeah.
And like, so the one that I did, down the road over here or up the road, wherever we are.
that way.
Yeah. He had the burger sphere idea, and we did talk about the old location. I was like, that wall looks pretty rough. You're gonna have to like do some stuff to fix it, and
Well,
it
was
like
the AC unit was like, and there were some
so
pipes
many,
leaking, and it was just
it wasn't
like,
just one kind of surface. There was like wood, like rotten looking wood, and cinder block.
and it was
with
also
peeling
on a weird angle, and
I was like, you can't use a ladder here. We're gonna need a lift, and
Yeah.
and that was very early on. So I was like, it's gonna cost a lot to do something that not a lot of people
but
are
then
gonna
he
see.
moved or opened this location not long
Yeah.
after that. Yeah.
So I had agreed to paint that location
Yeah.
if he got it cleaned up for me, and then he moved, and it was like, oh well, this is better.
Yeah.
And then
This
so
is indoors.
yeah, indoors. And so I did the burger sphere, and then like, well, what do you think about doing something here? And I did the giant gorilla.
Oh yeah, the gorilla.
And
Yeah.
I just like mocked it up for them,
Yeah.
like great. And that was so fun. I think that gorilla only took me like a day or 2.
I will say,
is-
I miss the old location. I loved that place.
It was cool.
It was so great.
They had an issue. Like the ceiling height was really low, and
You're telling me.
as a tall person,
Yeah, you're telling me.
something about fire code wasn't quite right, and then to get it right was going to be really, really difficult. And
I love. It's now a Mexican restaurant. I need to
Is
go
it?
by there. Yeah.
so,
But
yeah.
he cracks me up. Like it, I don't know. It just, oh God, I love him. He's problematic now. But he made that Mayor Kane burger
yeah,
that is like, Have you ate there a lot or?
So I can't eat something like that. It's just so much. So every time
okay.
I've
You're
gone,
not like a vegan or anything.
no. I'll eat a burger, but like I get like the kids' burger.
Oh.
You know, like I can't eat like a patty, double patty with fried onion rings and 6 pieces of cheese and fried pickles and all of the things on top of it. You know, like
If you all want a sight to see, come watch me eat one of those. I'm gonna find this burger, but that cane burger.
I remember him telling me about it.
So when he first made it, I was the first person to eat it, all the French fries, and I had a milkshake. Completed it, and I challenged Mayor King to come in there and eat it, and he did. But I was out of town, and I was so pissed because I was like, I want to be there.
Yeah.
Because I want to challenge him.
Yeah.
So I will finish it before him. Damn it. But the burger I was going to show you was, there was one time I went there with my friend Erin Hall, and she, how can I find this? I hate this stuff. I hate on Facebook that I can't like look through my posts to find.
You can't like click on your profile and no,
This
I don't know.
photo's going to be like 5
Forever.
years ago. Like,
Yeah.
I hate that you can't.
The way I ever always search for things is like go through my actual photos, and it's like that happened in September 2021, you know, and it's like knowing like timeline or place and like searching through like the heat map.
I don't know when it.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
You found it?
No, I found the first time I finished the cane burger.
Okay.
There's that. God, how can I? Maybe if I just search Inskip Grill Jody, there would be a lot of posts.
I mean, everything I've had from there is awesome.
I'm trying to find, because I ate this queso burger there, and it was God knows how many patties. And I finished the entire thing before my... Oh, found it.
Okay.
So that's
Walking
my
over.
friend Aaron in the background.
Oh my god.
So,
Oh my god.
So I finished that whole thing before Aaron finished her one patty with no bun.
Yeah. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
It's empty.
I finished that whole thing and had a milkshake after.
See, and I'm lactose intolerant. That looks like a nightmare to me.
So I will say today,
I'm sure it's delicious.
I will say today, I mentioned I had lunch with Alan Sims, went to Humble Hog, and I had a burger that was burger with beef short ribs on top, smash burger, beef short ribs, a thing of fries, half of his hush puppies because he said he couldn't finish it, and then I had banana pudding, and I went back to work going, oh God, that was a lot of food. And then like 2 hours later, I was like, I need a banana or something. I'm hungry again. It's a big body.
That banana pudding. It
Yeah.
just like
That banana pudding is really good. That's very expensive.
Humble Hog.
Yeah, it was. God love him. Like Alan had bought last time. I was like, I'll get this time. And I got the bill at the end. I was like, good, sweet Jesus. Okay.
Dang.
Okay. I like this place. They have a banh mi
Oh, I love banh mi.
pork burger that is very good.
One thing about living in Seattle was like all of the amazing like Vietnamese and Asian food.
Oh.
It's just everywhere and so cheap and so good. I had a banh mi or a bowl of pho every week when I was over there. So
Okay, so you moved to Seattle, but then you moved back here.
Yep.
See, I won't forget stuff. That was one of the other rules I forgot to mention. I was like, I'll always bring us back to topic. It'll eventually happen.
I don't feel like we have like a specific topic. I have no agenda
We
here.
don't.
I'm here
Yours
to
is
chat.
probably going to be called Murals and Art or something. I don't
Cool.
know. I just put
We haven't
random.
even talked about murals hardly.
Well,
we'll get
we
there.
got a little bit.
We
So
will.
you started doing stuff out in Seattle.
Yep.
How many did you do in Seattle before y'all moved?
That's a good question. At least 10.
Oh, okay.
At least 10. But some of
That were yours.
Yeah, and so like I was using this app called Thumbtack. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's like a, Angie's List kind of thing.
Oh.
And so I put out there that's like I make murals. If someone wants murals, contact me. And I'm still on it. And since I've been in Knoxville for about like 6 years, I've gotten maybe 2 things through
Okay.
Thumbtack. But when I was in Seattle, I got quite a few.
Okay.
And then I was getting things through that nonprofit. And then I had worked with one of the smaller galleries to show some pieces. And then they were, in their neighborhood. I was able to get something through a construction company, new construction. It was just, I was repainting an old mural that was ripped down. Like I wasn't really doing my work. I was doing signage.
Okay.
I was just doing anything that would give me money.
Were you doing personal projects at all in this time? Or?
I still had a studio space and I was still painting, but I didn't really have like an outlet. I did have a solo show at a winery before I left.
Okay.
So it was a lot of like the mechanical pieces
that
like I was talking about. So I was always making stuff. I was doing watercolor and oils, not together.
That would be fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be a mess, but and doing murals, and I was still working. Got some feather on my thing, and in restaurants, and just staying busy, doing all of it. But the murals were totally enamoring for me to be like on a sidewalk and just like whoever walks by, it's like all of a sudden I'm having a conversation. That was really, really fun. And so I was totally hooked on it. One of the things that I got to do, there's this area that's like a public transit row through the south part, south of downtown of Seattle. And there's the link light rail that goes through there. There's the buses all kind of pass through there, like a bus only street. And there's a pedestrian area, bikers, bike lane, whatever. And they've turned that into like a mural row.
Interesting.
It's called Soto Track. And the first year that they did that, I didn't get to paint my own work, but there's this artist out of Portland, Josh Keys. And he does this hyper realistic work. They're all like these animals in a sort of dystopian future interacting with urban environments. And they were going to paint one of his pieces there, but he couldn't do it because his wife just had a baby. And he's just like, sure, you can paint my piece. And so I got to take the lead on that. And it was like a 3-week project. It's huge. And I think I got like $500 to do it.
Oh my God.
And I was thrilled.
Oh, yeah.
at the time to get to, do that and participate in it, because there were other artists that were painting at the same time that were doing their own work and were,
Was that hard adapting to his style or?
No, I thought it was fun just to, I was adapting to working on that scale. So it wasn't like, let me do it in his style. It was just like, how do I paint it was a crashed car that was upside down. And then there were all these animals that were jumping over it. And you could see like the street, and it was like a cross section. And then under that was the ocean. And there was an orca whale in the ocean.
Okay.
And its dorsal fin had like busted through the concrete. So it's just like, there were deer. I think there was an elk. There was a fox, a rabbit, some birds, a blue post office box, and a stop sign.
Yeah.
But painting like the crashed car was like, oh yeah, this is my thing.
Like, can we put scissor lift in the background?
Yeah.
Like, I can make it blurry. It doesn't have to be. Okay.
So that was like the first really big kind of like prominent thing that I worked on that felt like important. And I didn't really get to sign it, but there was the stop sign, and it had a street sign, and I made one of the streets Lingerfelt Lane.
That's
so
awesome.
that's how I signed it.
Okay.
I asked, I was like, do they care what the cross section is? Can I make it up? And they said I could do whatever I wanted. So
okay.